everybody, this video is going to be a very quick overview of the 3 modules in the Creative B2B Marketing Course that have to do with optimizing your website. This is optimizing your website for people conversions, to get people to start a conversation, not just any people, but prospects from your buyer group to start a conversation with you. And that would be a conversion. Fill out the get a demo form or contact you, whatever your process is. Or AEO optimization, so for AI search optimization. And also, just as a byproduct, if you optimize your website for human interaction and conversion, and also for AEO, your SEO, your organic SEO, automatically goes up. So that's the byproduct benefit here. We're going to talk about 3 different concepts that I'm going to cover very quickly. The first one talks about friction, eliminating as much friction as possible when users come to your website. You want them to have a pleasant, enjoyable experience every time they connect with your brand, and that's especially true on their website experience. Second thing we're going to talk about is to create a user journey for conversions. There's very specific layout things you can do and content strategies you can do on your website that will promote conversions. And I'm not just talking a little bit, like 10%, 20%. When I have used these strategies, my conversions have doubled, tripled, and quadrupled compared to websites that do not use these strategies before we redesign the site. Number 3, we're going to talk quickly about messaging structure. There is definitely a type of English and language structure that you can use on your website that AIs really seem to like. And by the way, it's the same structure that I've been using for probably about 8 or 9 years, that I discovered quite a while ago that is really good for human conversions. The main thing you want to focus on here is structuring your website and building the content for your website so that it is enjoyable and logical for your buyer group. We're going to do a single landing page. Let's assume that this is your product landing page or your solution landing page that you have Google ads, LinkedIn ads, whatever that you're driving traffic to. On this landing page, we're going to put enough information and content for a rep-free journey, okay? And that's a buzzword. It's getting more and more popular. But more and more prospects are collecting as much information as they can before they talk to a salesperson or a representative. What they're looking for on your website are 2 basic things. Number 1, they're looking to find out if your solution fits with their problem, if you can help them, and if your company or product, whatever it is, fits well with what they need to solve. Okay, so that should be obvious. Number 2, they're looking for credibility. And we're not going to talk about this very much. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the credibility thing here in this overview. We dig into it. We do a deep dive into it in the course, in the Creative B2B Marketing Course. And credibility is why your About Us page on your website needs to be well done. It should have bios of your senior level people on there that are filled out and can echo the same copy that they have on their LinkedIn profiles. It should have overall content about your business mission, your company history, that type of information. What I've found is close to 100% of prospects, they do go to the About Us section on your website. But right now, we're going to focus exclusively on the product or solution landing page. This is where business gets done. This is where the selling gets done. And the better you do your job as a marketer, the easier it is for the salespeople to do their process from a warm-ish prospect lead to actually writing the check and making the deal happen. And this, again, we know this happens over a period of 6 months, 12 months, so you're in it for the long cycle here. This is the kind of page structure and strategy you can do that will work really well for each of your personas the influencers / stakeholders within your buying group. And if you don't know what I'm talking about right now, go watch the video, like stop this video right now, because this whole concept here revolves around the buying group concept. Go watch the foundational buying group video. I do an overview of that one also, so you can get the basic idea very quickly. In the course, it is the very first video because it's the cornerstone of the whole marketing ecosystem, and especially your website, that we develop from there on out. The first concept here, when we're talking about friction, and this friction principle works across all your marketing materials, your whole ecosystem, your advertising, your experience with your salespeople, your one-on-one presentations, all the marketing stuff, okay? It is critically important on your website that you understand this concept and work with it. It's also taught in Steve Krug's book, Don't Make Me Think, which is sort of the UX UI Bible, or it has been for a lot of years for web designers. The chart over here, I know this is kind of funny, but on the left over here, you have different emotional responses. At the very top is a happy response. It's like, hey, this looks pretty cool. This is making my brain happy. This type of content makes me happy. I like it. In the middle here, you have kind of a meh type of emotional response of, well, okay, this is kind of interesting. Maybe I should go do something else or compare this to something else. You could be close to losing your prospect's attention if they're in the meh zone, okay? The bottom, they're in the frustration zone, and that's the zone where you do not want to have your prospects in. You don't want them to experience frustration on your website or have a negative emotional response to any of your content, really. But as your prospects move through the different scenes, okay, the different screens actually on your website, as they scroll down to look at your content, and sometimes short pages or maybe 2 or 3 different scrolls of the mouse. Longer pages can go 7 or 8 scrolls of the mouse. And by the way, that's okay. Scrolling down a web page is much more preferable than skipping from page to page or jumping around to different pages in order to tell your entire brand story. It's okay to have a long scrolling page. Everybody's used to it by now, and everybody has a wheel on their mouse or they're zipping on their phone, whatever. So the story here, in looking at the diagram, across the bottom, you'll see that I have web, PDF, blog, ad. That's because this illustration here was used for overall marketing content. But let's assume this is only your website, and that these different markations across the bottom are frames on your website, and your user is moving through those frames, first frame, second frame, third frame, fourth frame. As they scroll down your site and explore your content, look at those frames, what is their emotional response? And I'll tell you right now, when I go to a website and I'm exploring content, I'm trying to solve a marketing problem, or I need some content from something or whatever, I'm doing research for a client or something, I come to a website, and on that first frame, after I click on the Google ad or whatever it is, that first frame, there's a pop-up saying, subscribe to our newsletter. Okay. You haven't told me jack about your business yet, and you expect me to subscribe to your newsletter. Are you kidding? That is a frustration point, and you get low score for that. Don't ever do that. Nobody cares about your newsletter if they don't know what you do, they don't know who you are, and you have zero credibility, okay? So don't do that on the opening frame of your site. If you do anything with a newsletter pop-up, have it be on another page, such as About page, the About Our Company page. When people are actually interested, they're looking for credibility, and you've built some credibility because they're exploring, then you can ask for an email address to get the newsletter, but not before you have given any value or information. That's an example of hitting the low zone here, okay, the frustration zone of the low person on the totem pole. There's other examples too, such as numbers on a website. When you come to that first landing page and boom, there's a bunch of numbers on there that are vanity metrics for your company. We have 500 clients and da-da-da-da-da. Nobody cares how many clients you have, okay? When you go to buy a hamburger or something, do you really care that there's 1,000 burgers or 1 million burgers that have been sold? No, you want the hamburger for you, the one that you like with the type of cheese that you like, or your burger cooked a certain way, or whatever it is. You want information that fits with your needs, okay? And that's an important principle here. So on the first opening screen, you need to deliver that. Deliver the information that exactly fits with the needs of your champion in your buyer group. Now we're going to talk about creating a journey for conversions. The flow from the top of the fold to the middle to the bottom. That's the user journey on this single product solution page. Your main graphic design strategy here is to have a high density of information, but have a clean, logical layout. You are anticipating the questions of your prospect. Anticipate what they want to know about and the sequence of that information. There's an old advertising quote, I believe it's J. Walter Thompson, that I like to talk about here. The more you tell, the more you sell. In a rep-free environment, it's important to get as much information as you can on this page and have it make sense to the different influencers within your buyer group. Most of your information, definitely the above the fold information, which is the first screen, should be focused on your champion. So your champion and the people closely related to the champion, the other influencers that are similar to the champion, they might have a good feeling about your brand or be exploring this type of content with a positive frame of mind. They want to know the really big stuff really fast, especially high-level people. What is this? That's our first question. What is this? What is this about? So obviously, the keywords that you're using on your Google ads should very closely relate to the headline and the subhead information that somebody first sees on your site. So here in this demonstration, this is a wireframe that you can download, by the way. I'm providing a free download of the wireframe that we're talking about, and I'm also providing a checklist for you that you can download. You can find it in the description or first comment of this video that helps you understand the flow and helps you work through the different content sections of your site and make sure you cover everything to make this all fit together, your AEO, your SEO, and your conversions. Right now, in the user flow, first thing you want to show is, oh, here's an interesting image here, some eye candy for my brain. That makes me a little happy. I like using images with people in them that are smiling, that are positive. Everybody's very serious throughout their workday, right? So if you could show something fun up here, something positive, that's cool. Get a positive emotional response if your content jives with that. So your positive image is up there. Moving down here, there's the benefit-oriented headline with a subhead, an introductory paragraph, and 3 to 5 bullet points that are benefit-oriented bullet points. This is the structure that we talk about in the messaging video and also the messaging content of the Creative B2B Marketing Course. If you're completely unfamiliar with this, go watch the overview video, which is free here on YouTube, about messaging, and it'll explain this more in depth later. Also notice here we have the video. If you want to increase your organic SEO faster than any other trick in the book, this is beyond the basics, right? Once you have the basics covered, you've got your keywords worked into your headline copy and your paragraph copy, blah, blah, blah. Once you have the basics covered, this is the big trick. Put a video on the landing page and also the home page, by the way. Put videos on your website. This is a trick that isn't that new, actually. It's been around for several years, I guess since Google bought YouTube. But I have used this and started to test it. And what I found is that a web page that maybe has a 200 position in searches has accelerated into a 6th or 4th or 3rd position just from the videos, okay? So this is a good trick. Your videos could be just something really quick, maybe an overview of what the solution is about, an overview of your company. It could be a thought leadership thing of an interview with your CEO, something like that, or even a mix mash of all of that, an overview of the solution, and maybe have the CEO talking about where he sees the product going or the industry going. And there is no excuse these days to not have a video. There are so many AI-fueled, powered ways to do this that are cheap and you can get professional results. It doesn't have to look like it was done by some Hollywood agency, by the way. It just has to deliver the content that your prospects are looking for. And before all this AI fun stuff started to happen with the video capabilities. I bet you didn't know this, but you can make videos just with PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint. You can go in there, have a voiceover, talk about your slides, have some animations happen with your slides moving in and out, deliver your information with your voice, save the thing as an MP4 file, and now you have a video. So even if you're not into the AI stuff, videos can happen. Figure it out. Make a script. Work out what you want to talk about. The content could even be taken from what your sales team is already using when they do a demo or they do a one-on-one presentation. You can kind of cherry pick some of those ideas out, some of those concepts, put together a 1-minute video, 2-minute video, really no longer than 3 minutes on this page in this environment. On other pages where you might go into your content deeper, go ahead and do a long video, do a 20-minute video if that's the story that you have to tell. Your video can also help with credibility by having customer testimonials. If they're comfortable video recording a Zoom call or something like that, or better yet, even live in person where you travel to their location, interview them within their factory or their office or whatever, that's another great type of video to have on your site. Notice as we move down here, we dig into a little bit of having a little more of the solution story. So what are the features about with your product? You always want to tie in the benefits with those features. Don't just list some technical feature that your product does and assume that everybody knows why it's great, okay? It's even okay at this point in this upper level of your screen here, it's okay to have bullet points or little icons and paragraphs and whatnot that don't even talk about the features. They talk about the benefits. If you can capture the benefits right away and hit people's pain points or their objectives, and you're hitting those immediately, you're going to hook not only your champion, but the other influencers in your buyer group. You'll hook them in to further explore your content. That's your number one objective here. One of the reasons this works so well is because when people are moving up and down through your content and your content is fairly dense, Google is recording that. Google knows how long they spend on the page. They know if the person is scrolling up and down, it knows if the person watched the video or not. When you get that kind of user interaction with your page, that accelerates your organic SEO. Scrolling down here is a graphic design trick that I like to use with tabs. So I like to use tabs and accordions, and I'll show you a couple of live examples with that. Right here, we're talking about maybe different features, but this could be anything. These tabs could be different industries that you go into. But it's critical that the content within these tabs, again, match to the buyer group and the buyer group messaging that you have developed for each of the personas within the buyer group. And this is a great place to use those information blocks and those messaging blocks that you developed already previously as your master, sort of your golden nugget collection of messaging. Here, notice that as you click through these different tabs here, you can get an amazing amount of information within here, especially if these are HTML tabs. You can have video in here, you can have diagrams, you can tell a solution story, you can put credibility stuff in here. You can have the content of 3 or 4 web pages by using this tabbed environment here. And I dig into this really deep and show a lot of examples in the actual course. Right here, we're just doing an overview, so I'm just going to show you the wireframe. I'll show you a live example of some comps in just a minute here too. If you are going to have numbers, make sure the numbers relate to something with the benefits of your solution. For example, if you are a cybersecurity company and you can stop 99.7% of viruses and scams that are happening on the network, that's really cool. It's an impressive number. Put it up there, make it big. If you have other impressive numbers that relate to the benefit of the prospect, make sure you're putting your prospect hat on and you're thinking like them. They don't worry about your metrics with your company and all of that stuff. If you want to blow your own horn, the About Us page is a good place to do it because that's where your prospect expects to find that information. If you want to say we have 5,000 customers or whatever, put it on your About Us page. But on the solution page, it's just clutter. Anything that is not related to the needs and the objectives of your prospect is clutter. Here's an example of an accordion block. I like accordions because they allow the user to scan information very quickly, topical information. And these can be FAQs that a typical stakeholder or buyer group influencer might have. These could be different features or benefits. There's all kinds of different things that you can put into these accordion blocks. And some programs allow you to have the accordion block be an HTML, a rich HTML environment. So you could even put videos in there and downloadable files and scroll boxes and pack it with information. So the overall website design strategy is to have information structure that is easily scannable, like tabs, blocks of headlines and accordions, things that people can scan very rapidly and say, well, I'm interested in this or not interested in that. They can get the big picture very quickly. And then you want to drill deep. So allow those blocks, those content blocks, to go very deep. And you can even have, like I said, links to solution briefs or data sheets, technical briefs, things like that. Make it easy for your detractor to find the information they are concerned about. So just as it's important to start your page with your top of level, really benefit-oriented strategy, when people drill deeper down, you may have a detractor going deeper and deeper into your content, and they're looking for information that is directly relevant to them. Make that information easily findable on your site for the detractors. If it's someone who's looking for financial justification or compliance certifications or a type of diagram as to how your product works within the computer environment. Whatever it is, make sure they can find it very quickly on this one page. Other little graphical tricks you can use that I really like are having very small resource list with maybe you just have a little thumbnail of different types of sheets that are downloadable, different PDF sheets. They might be technical diagrams or a solution brief or a case study, testimonials, whatever. Have a little block where you serve that information here. That keeps the user on this page and they don't have to click over to your resources page to get the content that is useful to your story here. Your users should not have to click from page to page to page to understand your solution story. So put the resources, whatever they are. It doesn't matter what the media is, whether the content is video, downloadable PDF files, or some other type of content, graphics, it could be infographics, things like that. Whatever your media is, if it relates to this product, make sure that users can access it quickly and easily on the product page. Here's another environment over here on the right, which is the mini tab content where you can use type that's pretty small and have miniature tabs in there. These types of environments are good for your detractors, actually, because it doesn't take up a lot of space on your page, but it's very deep. And in these three tabs, you might have one tab might have your security certifications that an IT director is looking for. Another tab might have a diagram that they can click on and it blows up and it shows, whatever on the network. Third tab, it might have a listing of specifications or type of security protocol. So just within this one little module, you can have information that is, an inch wide and a mile deep type of concept there. And of course, every single page should have a contact form on it. Do not make the contact form have friction points, okay? I've tested this over and over again. I've had salespeople come to me and say, well, we want to know their position in the company. We want to know their job title. We want to know when they're going to spend money with us and how much money they're going to spend. So we want to know what their budget is. No, don't do that. You're reaching for my wallet and we haven't even been on a first date yet. When you have your form here, just have name, email address, and a message block. I found that having a message block is very useful. People might want to set up people might want to talk about something specific, have a specific technical question about your product, or they might want to set up a time to meet certain people in your company. It could be a variety of things, but I found the messaging block helps a lot and people like using it. And I have found a very, very dramatic increase in conversions by having a simple contact form as opposed to a form with 5 or 6 different fields, all or even more all over the form. Here's an example what these strategies start to look like when you put them together with copy and images, graphic design, things like that. This is not a live page. This is just a comp that I built for a client. And as we're moving through here, obviously, this is the first landing page above the fold here. Obviously, this is the first section of the landing page. We're looking at above the fold here. Have the big image here that has a positive emotional response. You scroll down here, notice I'm using the messaging block formation that we talked about, and that was number 3 is the messaging structure. So this is for human conversions, and by the way, this works really well for AEO. AI searches like finding feature-oriented, benefit-oriented type of information that marries itself to features, and that is a summary type of information. It likes finding this, and it likes serving this up again. The information is just a complete little benefit feature story all by itself. Then that does really well with the AI searches, and using sentences that are verb, subject, modifier types of sentences. For example, our automated email feature of our management software helps improve project communication to improve overall efficiencies. That type of structure. Here's the thing, here's what it does, and this is the wonderful outcome. That's the main structure to use over and over again. So use it consistently with the different blocks that you have for the different users, different stakeholders within the buyer group. Notice here we've got the video, people are smiling, that gives you a positive emotional response. We're putting in a little strip of credibility here, not making a big deal out of credibility yet because your user hasn't really learned about your business yet. They don't really know yet if this product really fits with what they need. Now up here, when you have your benefit-oriented headline, your paragraph and bullets, that hooks them in and it looks promising. They're thinking, oh, maybe this can work for me. And then as you scroll down here, your users see a little credibility strip that might have awards in there or some customer logos or whatever that helps move your story along and instill some confidence. As we move down even further here, you've got your introductory paragraph of what's going to happen with these 3 tabs, 4 tabs, whatever it is. Like, well, what are these tabs about? So introduce that briefly. And then as we move the tabs here, in this case, we're talking about the benefits of this particular product, which is a BPO product for call center services. And as you click through these, here you see the services as the first one. Clicking over into capabilities, you can dig deeper into the features and some of the benefits with those. And then digging into more, we talk about the industries. And here we have some client logos splashed for even a little more credibility. Clicking into results, we do have numbers here, big punchy numbers. All of these numbers have to do with the benefits of the product, and they're impressive numbers. Any prospect looking at these numbers, they're going to think, wow, if you could do this for my business, that would be awesome. And now, as we get towards the bottom of the page, we really punch up the big credibility statement here by having a quote from a very well recognized global brand. Dell is a big deal for this company. Having that quote up here, giving it some eye candy with a big icon or something like that, and using a typographic treatment here. Having a real world testimonial where a client is willing to put their name, their job title, maybe even a photo, is infinitely more valuable and credible than numbers. So just having this one quote from Dell is much more valuable and makes so much more impact with prospects than saying, oh, we have more than 500 customers. A number is just a concept that doesn't have any emotional response and very little credibility, quite honest, because your competition, what if your competition has 600 clients and another one has 700 clients? What are you going to do? Start lying and faking your numbers? It's not a numbers game. There's no prospect that goes on the internet, on a Google search, and says, oh, I want to find an outsourcing business solution that has over 500 clients. Nobody does a search like that. And then as we continue to scroll down here, note that we have the related content. So we'll have videos. We may have a webinar video here, a solution brief, a data sheet, that type of stuff with fun little icons for each one of those. But we're serving those up on this single page. So the user does not have to bounce off of this page and go search for that information on your resources page. The user has to do that. Now you are dipping into the lower level of emotional response. You're dipping into the frustration level because a user has to get cognitive and start searching for information and then piecing it back to the product page, which extols all of these wonderful benefits. Would be the only thing I don't see here that would be really useful, that I've tested and had really good results with, is the calendar scheduling widget, so that somebody can take control of their own time, click on a calendar, see when the sales team or whoever's going to talk to them is available, and choose their own time to meet with them. Nobody likes getting a surprise call in the middle of their workday when they're in a meeting or they're working on something or whatever, and you just call into a company, cold calling, or even a warm call like, hey, we saw that you downloaded this sheet, or whatever it is. You filled out a demo form. We're here to talk about that. Let your prospects control their own time with a scheduling widget, and your results are going to go better. Here's a really quick example of the accordion concept where I use it on my own website. And admittedly, I do go a little crazy with this here. These are the 3 modules of the website optimization part of the course. And then, of course, there are 30 different modules here that somebody can look through. But I like how clean this looks. Somebody can just read the headline, look at the thumbnail. They get a really quick idea of what's going on with all the courses that are happening here. Now check this out. So when you go into these summaries, into the accordion, whoa, what's all this? There's a whole bunch of information here. So this is a pretty comprehensive summary, a quick summary about what you're going to learn in this module. And then you go down to the next one. Now, if I had put all of this information on web pages, this website would be, probably 15 to 20 pages long to have all this information, and it would be crazy to look through all of this on a website. You wouldn't be able to scan through information very easily. Now, do I expect somebody when they're on my website to read through 30 different modules here with all of these lengthy summaries, or with all of these comprehensive summaries on here? No, I do not. What I'm thinking is that people can go through here and scan through information that they're interested in. And then if you really want to drill down into something and get a really deeper idea of what this is about and why it's important to learn about this, then you can get the deeper information. This is the same principle to use on your website. Make your information scannable, but also deep for the different users who really want that information. Because when you deliver that up front, your whole sales cycle is accelerated. You can accelerate a 9 to 12 month sales cycle down into 4 months, 6 months, somewhere in there, by delivering upfront information. So let your website do the selling for your salespeople. Your salespeople do less selling and interaction with the client, with the buyer group, and that accelerates your whole deal.